Hey, welcome to my podcast. I'm Manina, and you are listening to an episode of Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger podcast. I have a new guest today, Amanda Elise, also known on Instagram as Spiritually Dope. Welcome to my podcast, Amanda. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So today we have talked about a topic, and I think it'll be really insightful and really helpful for the people who get to watch this video. First, I just want to talk about what you have going on and how did you get started? How did you get to where you are now? What's your background story? What do you have going on?
Sure. So I'll tell you where I am now and then I'll work backwards. I currently sell manifestation planners and journals. I have a spiritual shop online. And then I'm in the process of hosting international plant medicine healing retreats. So that it would have happened this year, but COVID hit. So we're scheduled to be in Mexico for our first one in 2021. And so how did I get here? When it comes to the manifesting journals and planners, I have always been interested in spirituality and the other realm and how you can bring things to you using vibration and changing your own frequency to magnetically attract things. And the journals that I have now, I used to use that exact same process to attract everything that I had in my life. And I used to do speaking into existence challenges online. And so a lot of people manifested a lot of different things. And so I was like, you know what? I just want to make this a physical journal. So I just decided to make it a physical journal. And that's how that got started. And the healing, well, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, I like this. I'm like, I want to manifest stuff.
Oh, good. Yes, it was awesome. Trey, right? That's like my favorite story, Chef Trey. Maybe you don't, but Chef Trey, she was in the group and she was like, I'm gonna be on Cutthroat Kitchen, and then a week later, it was like they called her and she was on Cutthroat Kitchen. Yeah, it was dope. And a lot of people manifested marriages, money. A lot of people always manifest money, right? Right. Put a ring on it and career opportunities, investors for their businesses. So those were a lot of fun. I'm actually thinking about doing that again. So if you're watching this, by the time you do, just go to amandaelise.com and I might have it up there.
Okay, and I'm gonna put all your info in the all the information boxes that are included, attached to it, so they'll be able to find it.
Okay, cool. And with the plant medicine retreats, I got started there. I was in a relationship when I lived in Los Angeles, and it was very painful. It was probably the most painful situation I've had in over a decade. And it was so painful that I decided that I really needed to, I saw things about myself because I feel that relationships are mirrors. And when you're surrounded by so much love, the love is going to bring out anything that's not in vibrational resonance with that love. So that means trauma or negative traits that you might have or toxic traits that you might have. So I recognized a toxic trait that I had, and I was like, I really need to fix this. I can't go on living like this. And so I decided to go on a journey with plant medicines. And for people who don't know what that is, those are psychedelic medicines, and most of them are illegal in the United States. And the ones that I did, well, I did many, but the one I started with was ayahuasca. And so I spent about 2 years.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that. Yeah.
Okay. So I spent about 2 years traveling the world. I was doing ayahuasca in different countries and other plant medicines in different countries. I was solo traveling the world for 2 years. And on the second year, I was like, man, this has been so life-changing and transformational for me that I want other people to experience this. So I decided to say, okay, now I'm going to host my own. And so I had my own first ceremony in Costa Rica with one of my friends. You know, he let me like practice on him, and which was great. He healed something that was kind of like a block in his relationship with his mother. And he actually called me this
Mm.
Mother's Day to thank me again for the ceremony and what it did for their relationship. So that was beautiful to see. And so I was like, I want everybody to experience these plant medicines. Unfortunately, they're illegal, like I said here. So we have to journey out. So I'm putting that together now. And that is how I got where I am today.
Wow, that is super duper interesting, especially for people who don't have alternate ways of healing or don't think that alternate ways of healing might work for them. That's really interesting to learn more about it. You know, even everything is not for everybody, but even if it isn't, it's still interesting to know that there's so many alternatives to healing. You know, for it's so funny because the reason why I started Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger in its entirety is because of trauma, you know, and it was a healing thing. It has helped me heal and to share my story with other women who have gone through the same thing and still are going through the same thing presently. It's a big healer, you know, a healing factor. And it's a different promise than the promise that I thought that I had, you
Mm-hmm.
know, with with what triggered the trauma, which I'll tell you about in 2 seconds. With what triggered the trauma, I thought I had one promise, but then realizing through this healing I had a whole different promise that has been answered 100-fold, because you know when you don't have any expectation of it, you're like, oh, well, I'm happy I could be this, you know. And it's come to the point where nobody likes to suffer, of course not, but when I do go through things, I'm like, I'm okay. I've been through you know, a cycle of this in a different way, or a similar way, because sometimes we have to relearn things, and that's fine too. But I know that at the end of this, somebody's going to be blessed. You know, somebody's going to get their healing that they really needed, and it's worth it. So for me in 2011, I was found myself in a pickle. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant with twins
Mm-hmm.
outside of wedlock from a very
Mm-hmm.
traditional family. My father's from 100% Muslim country. So we know that there are culture, tradition, religion, all just tied up into one. And sex out of wedlock is a no-no, right? And
Right.
pregnancy, come on. Because
Right.
how did you get there? So it was it was frightening. I felt shamed, you know, a whole bunch of things that was going on. And but then also I had previous trauma from losing my mother at 12 from cancer. And it was a lot. It was a lot for me because my mother was, I mean, you know, I was a 12-year-old girl. So that was the time
Yeah.
that your mom, that's when you need it the most. The children, the twins had a promise to me in my mind, obviously, that was connected to the trauma. It was an unconditional love that I had been missing since I lost my mom. So this is 26-year-old me now. From 12 to 26, I was like, I just want my mommy. I just want, you know. And
Mm.
so I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. You know what? It is what it is. I'm adult. I'm an adult. I've been taking care of myself for many years now. I'm gonna have my children. I got to 5 months pregnant and my body went into labor and they could not survive. They did not survive. Wow, wow, wow. Like, talk about the most painful thing I've ever experienced outside of losing my mom. It felt tenfold because I don't know. I mean, I know plenty of women now that have lost pregnancies and lost their children, and there's something about losing your child that it's you know, you lose your parent and you don't have that blame factor. It's just like, oh no, I want, you know, my parent. But as a woman, as a mom, sometimes there's a blame factor, like I failed my child, the one place that they're supposed to be safe for the first 9.5 10 months of their life is inside my belly. And that, that place deceived them. Like it just didn't keep them safe. So I had such hurt, such pain, and I just said, you know what, I can't deal with this. Like this sucks. But at the same time, this sucks was like the least the least hard word to use. But at the same time, I was able to say, all right, there's things in this, and there's actions that I was taking, and what I really want is healing. I didn't want to be a single mom of two children, repeating a certain cycle that my mom didn't even, repeat that, didn't even have that cycle, but I didn't want to start it, I just wanted healing. I wanted to be okay with the lack of physical connection, but still emotional and spiritual connection that I have with my mother. So I just looked within. What makes me a woman? What do I want to be known for? And what do I want to live? And that was my journey with Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger. That's where it started. I, read self-help, I read Bible, I read Quran, I read all things, but I came in the Bible, I came to the Proverbs 31, woman or wife of noble character. And I was like, okay, let's work this down. A wife, right? You're born a woman, you're a wife, you become the wife. How do you get there to wife of noble character? You have to be the woman of noble character first. So I just broke it down for myself. And those are the things that I use as my foundation of who I am and what inspires me to move forward and what inspires me to open myself up and share my story with other women. I didn't realize how many women lose pregnancies, how often it happens, and how much, I guess it seems like it's a taboo to speak about openly, because I put my video up on YouTube and women to this day are like, thank you for sharing this. I just lost my baby last week, and I put it up in 2014. I needed this because I didn't know what to do. Like, no, people around me are like, it's okay, you'll have another one. Worst thing to say to a woman who just lost their baby, you'll have another one, or maybe it wasn't meant to be. Like, we can save that for, there's so many things that people say when they're trying to comfort you. And I mean, obviously that's not only with losing children, that's with everything. If I'm sure you've had a friend who's been like, it's all right, it wasn't meant to be. Like, okay, can you tell me that in 2 months, because I'm not ready for that right now. So yes, that is why this channel itself was created, and I'm glad that we can just talk about healing in general. And we're going to talk about how to some tips, some ways to feng shui your life, just to get the things out of life that you want. So I always ask my guests, what's close to your heart? What do you think is important for us to talk about? And this is a topic that you brought to me, and I was like, this is awesome. Yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about feng shui in your life.
Yeah. Well, first, Mo, I want to acknowledge your story. I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And I even felt a little bit of healing just hearing it. And that has not been my story. I haven't gone through that. But you having go through something that was kind of like salt on an already open wound, or a wound you kind of thought you had healed, that must have been excruciating. I can't even imagine. So for you to live through that and to be able to say, how can I take this and not only help other people, but how can I take this to be a catalyst to be the type of woman that I've been seeking for so long? That's so beautiful. And I just want to acknowledge that. I love that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, and we'll talk about feng shui in your life, but I mean, we are here in healing, and I want to stay here a little bit. I want to say the reason that I love plant medicine so much, and I love, therapy. Like I have my own therapist. I love coaches. Me and LaShawn are about to work together. I'm so excited. So, and I have a trainer right now who's really helping me focus my energy. But the reason, and so I think they all work together. And I just want to highlight plant medicines because plants have an intelligence that we don't have. These psychedelic plants have an intelligence that we can't access as easily. And so with talk therapy or psychotherapy, the therapist might ask you, well, why do you feel this way? Where do you think this originated from? And you can do your best with your conscious mind to figure out where you think it came from. But as we know, the conscious mind is 1 million times greater, or the subconscious mind is 1 million times greater than the conscious mind. And the subconscious, sometimes there are things so deep in there and deep rooted that we don't even know. You may have heard something when you were 3 years old and you don't even remember it, but it's been affecting who you are since 3. And so the therapist could ask you, where did this come from? And you say, oh, I think it came from my teacher. Like, no, it came from your dad when you were 3. Like, you just don't know that. But what happens is when you go into these ceremonies with plant medicines, and I'll paint a quick picture for you. How it is I'll just give you my first one. It was 40 people. Everyone is dressed in white. You have to dye it for 2 weeks before the ceremony because your body needs to be ready. And if you have certain foods, such as a ripe banana or a ripe avocado, and you take some of these medicines, you could die. You could literally die. Yeah, it's wild. So you want to make sure you're honoring the diet process. You want to make sure you're, praying every single day leading up to the ceremony. So it's very sacred. You go in, the shaman gives you instructions. You write down your goals or what your intentions are for the ceremony. I want to heal this. I want to let go of this, or I want to discover this, or I want to understand why I do this. And everybody individually, you go up, you drink your cup, and after that you go back, you sit down at your own little space in the hut. It's like a hut. It's called a yurt. And you wait for 30 minutes, and then it starts to kick in. And then, it is a psychedelic. So you're in a whole different dimension at that point. But I do want to say, even though you're gone, with ayahuasca specifically, you're still here. So I could see you. I could type on my computer if I needed to. I don't want to say drive a car. I don't want to go that far, but you can function. It's almost like if you were to tell me about what you had for breakfast this morning, you'd be envisioning what you had for breakfast, but you're still able to type. It's the same type of situation, but if you let it take over. And so when and the plants, like, they hear you when you give your intention, and it might honor it, or it might say, you know what, we actually need to attack this thing first.
Right.
And it might bring up a situation. So for me, I had a traumatic situation happen that I did not think at all affected me. I literally just acted like it was absolutely nothing 2 years prior. When I got into that ceremony, it hit me like a ton of bricks how devastating this was to me. Had I gone to therapy, I would have literally glossed over it. Mm-hmm. And that is the reason why I love the plants so much, because they always go to the heart of what is truly going on or limiting you or holding you back.
It's an intense experience, or
yes. I mean, during these ceremonies, you're throwing up. You might have to go number 2. Yeah, you're throwing up the whole time. You have a bucket. If you go on my Instagram, I have a photo of one of the ceremonies I've been in, and you'll see the mats that you lay on and all the buckets. So you have a bucket there to throw up.
You know what's so crazy? When you were talking about it, I just kept thinking, I feel like it's gonna make you go number 2 on yourself. I kept thinking that. I don't know. I've heard of it. I've never researched the process of it or anything, but that's what my body just kept feeling like, you're gonna go number 2 on yourself. The whole time you're talking about it. That's crazy.
You picked up on that. Like, yeah, your body is intuitive about that. Absolutely. That is exactly what it's like. And some people, you know how you say like, oh, I'm going to get sick. I think I'm going to get sick. But in these ceremonies, it's called getting well, because what's happening is you are expelling all of that energy that you don't need. Like, all of that is just an energy. And when you throw up, it actually feels good, because you can feel like negativity or whatever just leaving your body. So they're beautiful experiences. I don't want to stay on that too long, because I could talk for 8 hours, but about Feng Shui in your life. Yes. So, speaking of expelling, when I used to teach courses, and I swear I'm getting back to it, but the very first thing that I have people do is feng shui their house. So not in the sense of, you're putting a water fountain here, or, a plant here, but the first thing is to get rid of everything in your space that is not inspiring you or uplifting you, everything. And I'm talking about everything, get rid of everything. So I remember one woman who took my course, it was so beautiful. She had hospital bracelet on her nightstand because she wanted to remember or remind herself, like, not to go back there or not to get sick anymore. And it's like, when you see that, you have to know what that's doing to your subconscious mind. It's telling you that you are sick, you're a hospital patient. Like, you can't function as a normal, I don't mean to say normal, excuse me, but you can't function properly. You
Yeah,
need help, you're
you can't
sick.
function outside of that process.
Exactly. So it was beautiful when she threw it away. I had one person, like, she finally donated a car because of what the car like represented. She was holding on to a car. She donated it because of what it represented to her. Go around your house and look at every object, kind of like Marie Kondo. I've never seen the show. I totally should because I'm into it. But
Yeah,
I heard,
I
huh?
mean, she got a lot going on. I mean, it's a lot of it looks like a ritual because of how repetitive the concepts are, but it's really good because I feel like there's a freedom in that, in a way. Well, uh, for my personality, there's a freedom in structure. It's very structured, and it looks like there's a ritual connected to it, which is also freedom in that as well. If you're even if you're not a very structured person, because once you grasp that, you can do all the other things that you've been flying around doing, because all of this is taken care of and there's a system to it. You don't have to think about it. So I
You're
like it.
so
You,
right.
that's
Yeah, you're so right. And like, when it comes to your mind, like, there's a thing called decision fatigue. So for people who don't know what that is, decision fatigue means, let me try to summarize it. Like, basically your mind can only make so many decisions per day. And if you are constantly making a decision, like, okay, what am I going to eat for breakfast? What am I going to wear today? What am I going to do X, Y, and Z? Then when it comes to important decisions that you have to make for your life or your business, your mind is already fatigued. So people like Barack Obama, what's his name who made the iPhone? Steve Jobs, Barack Obama, Steve Jobs, like, that is why they always dress the same, because of decision fatigue, because they were like, the less decisions I have to make, the better I can be at the big decisions. And the same thing with all of the, like, clutter or whatever is in your house. It's taking, exactly what you're saying, it's taking up your brain power. Like,
Yep,
it's too much, and
yep.
you can't function as well as you need to function.
Right. Like the people who may be in the range of the early to mid 30-year-olds, and a little older, we remember when your cell phone minutes were not free and they ran out. It's like that. And it was only free on nights and weekends. But otherwise, you were given, let's say, 3,500 minutes a month, and you had to figure that thing out. Once it ran out, it was gone. So it's just like that. Once your minutes are gone, you have to wait till they reboot to next month. It's like that.
Exactly, exactly. So have you feng shuied your house? Have you, like, thrown everything out that you need to?
I feel like I've done it many times over, but I did just move 2 summers ago to a different apartment. And oh man, that was like the best once I got things the way I wanted it. Because in the beginning, it was too bare. I was like, I need a plant or something. I need something in
Right.
here. But once I got to where I wanted it, yes, I feel like,
Nice.
you know,
Oh, beautiful. So you
I would like
felt
to get it back
viscerally
to
different.
that point. Yes, physically there, I felt like this was my safe place, safe haven for sure. I would like to get it back to that point a little bit because there's some additions I would like to put in that would make me feel that way. You know, when you get more, like you said, I don't have any decision fatigue about it. I was good, and now I'm like, I want to do this.
Mm.
Now that those things are taken care of, I can add those things. So once I add that thing, I'll be good. Little accent wall, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, amazing. How else have you feng shuied your life? Do you feng shui people?
Well, one big way is we're both in something called the morning meetup that's one big way I've feng shuied my life, because I had a big question mark on just business and how do I get this done. Like I said, I started this channel in 2014, and not that I don't know what it is that I want to do. I have a clear vision. I've had a clear vision since, let's say, 2012. After I lost the twins, that was my thing, surviving, right? So I know how to survive something that is traumatic. Now, thriving, on the other hand, was something I had to learn. So, yes, some people might say, "Oh, you're really strong. You got through those things." But I was in survival mode for a lot of years before that, and it's very tiring. So, in order to get out of that survival mode and get into the thriving mode, I've learned that I have to have mentors, coaches, and people around me who are doing the things that I really want to do and have. And the only way to do that is to have clarity. That's my biggest thing. I like to clear everything out of the way so that I can focus on what I want out of life or out of things. I don't like to be confused. I don't like chaos. So the way I feng shui my life is to remove. I am a cutter. I will cut people right on out. I will cut things right on out, places, activities, whatever it is, so I can focus, get the vision, and then I can add what I need back in to get me to that place. So that's the way I function in my life. So the morning meetup is one thing, family and friends. I'm very, very careful about who I share with and who I let share with me. For sure.
Right. That's a whole word right there. That is a whole word right there. God, that is so important.
Yeah, you have to be okay with no thank you and the word no, and I don't have time. Like, it has to taste good coming out your mouth. The word no tastes good coming out my mouth. Oh, it tastes good. It's delicious. I'm trying to tell you. My favorite fruit is passion fruit. Tastes good. Every time I say no, it tastes like passion fruit. I'm trying to tell you. It's good. It's delicious. What?
I cannot even lie to you. I just told my friend that the other day because she said no to something that she wouldn't have said no to before. And she was like, yeah, I said no. And I was like, girl, didn't it feel good when you said no? Like, you feel like you are deeply honoring yourself, and it feels good.
Yes, good. I'm trying to tell you, it tastes like, having the best Thanksgiving dinner meal you've ever had. Like, this is great.
Exactly.
I love this. I'm gonna say no again soon.
Right? Exactly. So for people listening to Mo, so like, I guess, both of us are like professional cutters, but for other people who aren't, when I was talking to Mo about this, I was like, I'm really passionate about like thinking about things in terms of vibration. And as we know, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And if someone in your circle is negative, or they don't believe that anything is possible, or at least they don't believe, because some people don't believe anything is possible, but at least they believe in you. That's a friend I'll keep around, right? But if they don't believe in you or don't even want you to succeed, then what happens is, like, you are feeding off of their vibration. So if you know that let's say, Mo, you just booked Oprah on your podcast, and you know that, or you have an opportunity to book Oprah on your podcast, like she's
coming on. Yeah, we're gonna book her. Let's keep it there.
So,
we booked her.
So you booked, so you booked her, but you haven't, she hasn't come on yet, but she's booked. She's excited. And then you tell your friend, and you notice that your friend is like, oh, okay, that's dope. You already know that that is not a friend who is, one, in vibrational resonance with their own success, or otherwise they'd be happy for you. They're not in vibrational resonance with their own success. And then they're not in vibrational resonance with your success. So the more you hang out with them, the more you're going to be the average of what their limitations are. And then there are friends who will even say, you got Oprah? Well, you know that Timmy booked her last month and she canceled on him and she never showed up. So she might do that to you, girl. Just be careful. Those vibrations are not helpful because, we are what we think, right? So if you have a friend that is planting one single seed of doubt in your mind, that doubt can grow, especially if it's someone you love and you care about. Strangers on the street can say whatever, but sometimes with our friends, we take it to heart a little bit more because we're used to that.
Right.
And so those are not people that you want to hang around. I'm not telling anybody anything that you don't know, but just really be ruthless. And I have this one exercise called the lighthouse exercise that I don't think I ever even told anybody about this exercise, but I do it and I call it that
Yeah,
exercise.
exclusive.
Exclusive. I think about like being the biggest version of me, like the biggest version of me. I think about having all the success. So let's say I had a podcast and I'm like, okay, Oprah is coming on my and I have zero interest in podcast mode. Keep doing it. Hey, girl.
Right.
But I have a podcast and I think about Oprah coming on it, right? I think about this good news and I think because it's like a lighthouse, because you know how light, like a lighthouse, like shines light on things. So I think about like the light shining on, okay, my friend Tim. If I tell Tim that I just booked Oprah, I envision his reaction. If he is, what? I'm first in line. I got an Oprah t-shirt. Then I think about Sarah and I feel Sarah's energy kind of waning when I talk to her about it. Okay, something I got to watch out for. Then I think of a family member, and you just keep going through this exercise and just recognize where people are. And you're not always going to be right. A lot of times you are intuitive and you will be right, but sometimes you won't be, especially with processes like this. But, if you're confused, you just try it out. Tell your friends some things you're thinking about doing. It doesn't have to be your super top secret plans, but just some outrageous goals that you have and see how they react. And I do feel that, if they're not completely supportive, then it's your duty to shine, continue to be all that you can be. And, the more you shine, the more they're just not even going to be in vibrational resonance with you anyway. So your conversations will get shorter, they'll be less frequent. It will just happen naturally. Or, sometimes you might have a blow up. That's honestly not about anything except your frequencies are just not aligned at this point. And you don't have to leave and be mad at them. Like they didn't do anything to you. A lot of times people don't want your success because we are very tribal people, and we have tribal rules. We have set of rules that
Oh
we
yes.
live by, unspoken rules. So
Oh yeah.
if we say we only make this much a year, we only have this much happiness, we're the single girls, we don't get in relationships like the happy people, then when you start to go outside of that, it's not that your friend doesn't, some people don't want to see you happy, let's be honest, but it's not that all of your friends don't want to see you happy. They want to see you happy. They just want to see you happy with them. So they'll try to, subconsciously pull you back by not allowing your success because they don't think themselves that they can go with you on that path. There are some people that might not be there, but they'll be like, you signed up for what? You got a life coach? Girl, let me get her number. Like we are doing this together. So just remember that. Like there's nothing wrong with those friends. Honor them for who they are, but it's your right to continue to shine your magic.
Yeah. What about, because I'm really big on helping younger women. I feel like there's a point in our life where, even the most reinforced, by I mean reinforced, I mean like the person whose parent has given them the most assurance growing up. We get to an age, usually early 20s, where we just lose our mind. Like as women, we're like, wait, am I pretty? Am I this? Am I, like it doesn't even matter what you say out loud on the inside. Something happens. I don't know what it is. So how for the younger women do you think they can feng shui their life when it deals with dealing with their parents and saying, this is what I know your expectation for life was, but I have this. How can you use the lighthouse exercise for that as well? Like, I look at my dad and see, I look at my mom and see, I look at my uncle. And all of them are like, mm-mm. What do you
Yeah.
do?
Right. That's a tough situation. Like if you're still living in that house, it's not always easy to have your own path, but still live by their rules. Like the two energies are just completely different. So, you know how sometimes when it comes to like women who are being battered, and this is a very extreme example, but you know how when it comes to women being battered, they, usually the advice is like, you should always be upfront and honored and honest with your partner. But if that's happening, you might want to stack your money, make your plans in private, and get your path to get out because you know that he's not gonna make it, it's not gonna be easy.
Mhm.
So I would say, yeah, feel out your parents. If they have a path for you and you want to go somewhere else, sit down, do research on it. Like, some people are like numbers focused, put some numbers to it. Like, okay, I want to start this business. Mom and dad, it's going to give me this level of happiness and satisfaction. This is my exact path to get there. Do your research. And these are the types of numbers I think I can make, or like, this is the schooling that I'll have to go to. If your mom wanted you to go to school to be a lawyer, but you really want to be a hairstylist, like, I will have to go to cosmetology school. This is my path and this is where I see it going. And then I'll be a salon owner. Explain that to your parents and then, see how they react. And if it's honestly not positive, but you're still like living in their house, sometimes you just can't change people's minds. And it's best to create your own strategy in private and make sure that you do have friends who positively reinforce you, because that is the energy that's going to keep you going, because you have someone where you can tell, yo, I sent in my application. They get excited. That hypes you up. You're growing, they're expanding. It's all good.
That's good. A lot of people will just give up on what they were doing. Now, here's the thing: when you want to do something on your own, there's no beaten path. Like to be a doctor, you know exactly how many years of school you have to go through. Some people have to do extra because it's tough to do things like that. So you might have to do extra classes, whatever you have to do, but you know exactly how long it's supposed to take you to get there. Lawyer, all of those things. But to have your own business and to go down the unbeaten path, it takes more effort. So if you are appeasing your parents, right, you can't leave in the next 5 years. You can't. I cannot leave in the next 5 years for whatever reason. You're young. You're too young, whatever it is. Go to school, because guess what? Time is not going to pass anyway. A time is going to pass anyway, and you're not going to lose that time because you went to school for 4 of the years out of the 5.
Right.
But while you're going to school, you're still working on your business or your plan or whatever it is that you want to do, because there is a such thing as like I call it the dots connecting. The dots connect whenever you're doing what you have felt in your heart is your life's purpose. No matter what you do, as long as it's positive and productive, even some of the negative things, the dots end up connecting anyway. I had a guest on here, and his name is Arshay, and he grew up in Southside Chicago and rough, tough, and he came into high school one day, and there was a guy who was like, I want to teach you guys how to row. All white sport, pretty much, Ivy League schools. And so he went and taught these group of young black men how to row, and they were going to these other schools, and the kids were looking at them like, what are y'all doing here? But he has a life story that is just out of the norm from where he's from. And I would have never met him if, after I went through my traumatic experience with losing my twins, I didn't go to mixed martial arts, because I had a little pudge and it reminded me of having my twins, and I just wanted it to go away. And also I wanted to lose a pudge. I wanted to be. I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? I'm gonna make out of this. I'm gonna make a 6-pack out of this. So
Yeah.
that's
Make it
so I
worth
went to
it.
mixed martial arts. Right. And I met him there. Didn't have much interaction with him. His the who he was dating at the time, who is his wife now, me and her used to work out so much. I told her, what I went through, and she's like, after MMA classes, we're gonna work out, we're gonna do extra exercises. And almost every day I was there, and we did those together. And the years had passed. He wrote a book. He's written 2 books. about his experience and things like that. And he's now a speaker. He, is doing interviews everywhere, but the dots connected. And I was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. Would you want to be on? You know, like I saw you on a such and such show. So if you're not, if you want to just hang with the big dog, it's fine. But I just wanted to talk to him. He's like, hell yeah, Mo, I'm coming. Like what, so the dots connect, so it is true. No matter what it is, work forward. If you're working through healing, if you're working through obstacle, work through it. It's okay to, have to work through the obstacle and still work a little extra on the things that you want out of life, because it's going to connect. It's going to connect, plain and simple, as long as you will yourself towards it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And the lighthouse exercise is a really good exercise. Even if you don't feel like you're a very intuitive person, I think that's a very good exercise. I feel like I am an intuitive person, and those are things that I really do. I don't feel like a person has to be sitting next to me for me to feel what's going on with them. If I really focus in and hone in on somebody, if I call them 5 minutes later after I was focusing on it, the conversation turns to like, oh yeah, I felt that, something was going on. So, but everybody's not that connected to the intuition. I feel like everybody has it, but they're not all connected. But that lighthouse exercise is really, really helpful to help gain that connection with the intuition too. So I have one last question about the feng shui your life, like dialogues. How do you handle, I like to call it self-talk, but what would you call it when it comes to feng shui in your life? How can you hone in on the self-talk and help in terms of feng shui in your life?
Self-talk is so important. And I want to stay here for a second and say that you cannot outwork your self-image. You cannot outwork your self-perception. So it does not matter how many hours you put in, it doesn't matter how much networking you do. Nothing matters if your self-perception says, I only make this much, or I'm not the person who's successful at this, or I never, make great connections. Just whatever you think about yourself, that is what you will attract. So you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. And that really starts with self-perception. So the first thing that I would say is to get really specific and clear on who you want to be, like not things you want to have, but who you want to be. Like, you are a champion, you are someone who overcomes, you are someone who operates on excellence, you are kind, you are patient, you are loving. Decide who you want to be and then create your affirmations around that. And some people say that affirmations don't work. I don't agree with that because I've seen them work in my life time and time again. But what I do know is true is that it does take repetition to get into your subconscious mind. And what I do know is that you can also help it to move along a little bit faster if you start to incorporate people who are like your vision for yourself into your life. Because again, what happens is their energy is going to naturally rub off on you and you will become like them. And that makes it easier because, especially if you have a tribe that says, we do not make over a certain amount, unspoken agreement, we do not make over a certain amount per year. If you're affirming this and saying your affirmations, you really want to make sure that you're incorporating like a person, into your life. And it depends on what you want, but everybody's online these days. You have zero excuse for making some type of connection. Zero excuse. So the self-talk, I think the self-talk should reflect your vision for yourself. And I think you should repeat your affirmations in the morning when you're first waking, because your brain is in theta state, and that is when your subconscious is most susceptible to being able to receive a new program, and then right before you go to sleep. Now that one's a little harder for me because it's like, okay, but I'm still awake and I'm trying to just, read my affirmations on my phone, but still it does work. It also, if you have like a singing bowl, I have a singing bowl, just play that singing bowl because that also gets your brain into theta state, or listen to singing bowls on YouTube. And you can get a singing bowl on my website, which Mo will put down below. So listen, yeah, just listen to that. And that's the perfect time to reprogram your subconscious mind to make sure that it's in that state. So that's my, I guess, tip on self-talk. And make sure that you're catching yourself in those moments where you have a contradictory thought. And it really takes time and practice and energy, because I know we have to go, but every thought, some thoughts are, you become addicted to them because your brain has neural pathways, and that neural pathway is so strong because of all the work that you've done in it, that it takes conscious effort to change that. So you want to make sure you're changing it in the moment, as well as the morning, night, and with the singing bowl.
I noticed that, and it's something that you have to be self-aware on purpose. It's all about being intentional, obviously, and it takes practice. Like you said, I noticed that when I have something new that I'm trying to convince myself of, so that I can add it to my repertoire, I get tired immediately. All my energy comes right out, because it takes effort. It really takes effort to change your own mind, more than it takes when somebody says something to you. Somebody can change your mind about yourself in 1.5 sentences. But for yourself, I heard something, and somebody says a scientific fact that it takes one time for something negative to be enforced in your mind. 17 times over it takes for it to be replaced. So for every one negative, 17 positives has to come and take its place. So there are times where I'm just trying to incorporate something new, like, oh yes, this is going to be good, and then I'm like, I need a nap. This is hard, but take the effort and do it. Take the 2-minute nap. It's only going to zap you for about a minute or two. Then you're going to be able to keep doing it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I like that. All right, so we're coming to the bottom half of the podcast, and this half is my favorite because it's called the introvert corner. I'm a stark introvert, and there are things in life that I will be fine with not experiencing firsthand, but the lessons from them, I want to know all the things. So I always ask my guests 3 introspective questions, have nothing to do with the topic, just 3 things that how they would answer, and it might be different from me, and it might be different from the other people listening, and they can learn something from it. So, are you ready for the introvert corner? Okay. First question: where and when do you get your best ideas?
Oh, in the morning between 4 and 7. I want to say 6:30, honestly, between 4 and 6:30 in meditation, when the world is quiet. I used to
still something to work
on. Okay. You don't meditate every day?
It makes me so angry. Sometimes I'm like, so I'm still learning how to meditate. I try. I do. I get, maybe I don't specify it as that, but I do make sure I get quiet time to just breathe and try to just filter out. But when I say to myself, I'm going to meditate, I get angry right in the middle of it. Like, be quiet. So I don't know. I have to learn.
Yeah. But I mean, work through that, because everybody, when you're first starting, your thoughts are just, everywhere. So, be gentle with yourself as well. And just start with 2 minutes. Just start with 2 minutes every day, and then grow it from there. And if your mind is all over the place, that's fine. But you're sitting down, you're honoring yourself, you're doing something is going to help you.
That's good. I think I could do 2 minutes. I could do
2 minutes.
That'd be good. I'm going to be mad. Like, if you don't be quiet, I said, we are meditating.
Right. And try different ones, because there's the silent meditation, and then you can listen to singing bowls as you're meditating, or you can even do what I do almost every morning, is listen to African drums, because it still gets you into the theta state. And so, right, you perked up at that. Try that. That's a meditation as well.
That's my people. I'm African, so it's
Right?
probably gonna connect.
It's probably gonna hit different. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's my jam. I thought I might have known this in the past life.
Right?
This might have been me.
Right.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna let you know how it's going. I'm gonna try it because I do find my quiet time, but I would like to incorporate meditation. I would like to. All right. Second question. What was your proudest moment of the past 12 months?
Oh, I have to say, honestly, I just signed up with a new trainer. Not a new, he's been my trainer forever, but I just signed up to work with him again. And I'm really proud of that because I am taking it seriously. I'm surrendering to this process. I'm letting it transform me. In other times where I would have like worked hard to like not make my trainer think that I was quitting or something, or like I would have slacked off and tried to make it look like I was working hard, or made it look like I was really struggling so I didn't have to work hard. Yeah, these are real things. This time
That's good.
I'm working hard for me and I'm
Mm.
showing up, and I know we're ending, but like emotions are trapped in the body. And so I'm allowing myself to cry at every workout. Like I cried today, I cried yesterday, because it's bringing up things and memories and emotions. So I'm really proud that I'm following the eating plan strict AF. Yeah,
That's good.
thank you.
I like that. I like that. It's something while you were saying it, it just all of those things, whatever triggers them or whatever makes us do it, it's like a victim mentality versus a victor mentality. Victor mentality.
Yeah.
And you're switching it, and you, forget about the training part, the process, the mental switch. That's the thing to be
That's
most proud of.
me.
Oh, because you just, it doesn't even matter if you end up looking the same. You're a badass because you switched your mindset. That's
You're exactly
that's
right.
victory. Yeah.
And that's why I'm
That's
submitting, because I'm like, you know what? I'm letting this change me on a cellular level.
That's it. And you will never be back there again. You'll feel so uncomfortable to be back there again. Forget about physically,
And
just,
I
yeah,
love that.
mentally. Like, that is beneath me. Okay. I do not do that. That's what's up. Proudest moment in the past 12 months for me would be investing in myself despite my hesitations of
Yeah.
that when it comes to my business. I have a business coach now that I invested in. I don't know if you're into like the signs and stuff and everything. I think you are, right? I'm a
Mhm.
Libra, and there's things about Libras that everybody feels is so like, I think we're seen as a little whimsical, but we don't play about our money. Okay. If I worked hard for this money and I made $5 and there's only four here, I'm tearing it up. Give me my dollar. Locking the door. Who took my dollar?
I
Everybody
love
gotta go.
it.
I think that might be the hidden fury of a Libra. Like, we love you all, but don't try to play me.
Right.
And when it comes to working hard and money, I won't detach from it easy. But that's a hindrance. Um, because you can't invest in yourself if you're holding on to
Right.
certain things. So my most proudest moment of the past 12 months is today at 11 a.m. I signed up for a business coach, and I am giving them a couple of weeks to help me turn around or put forth my vision that I've had for so many years. And I'm
Please.
excited. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I
Those are
try
the
not to burn
things.
it down if it takes longer than the 7 weeks. It's supposed to be 7 weeks. I try not to burn it down. It's
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process.
a process, and it's up to me. It's up to me to, I invested that, but that wasn't the investment. The money, I'm a worker, so I can make that money back however I need to. But the investment is me investing into that program and learning. So it's gonna be good. All right. Last question is, if you could master any instrument on earth, what would it be? Obviously, if you've already mastered an instrument, it would be something different.
Like a
What would
musical
it be?
instrument?
Yes.
I think flute would be pretty cool.
I think I asked somebody that, and oh no, they chose a flute or a horn. They chose that. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be a flute. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I chose a guitar, like a bass, like
Nice.
something that's like
Heavy. Make the
like
impact.
you don't realize, yeah, like you don't realize how much you need it until it starts playing. You're like, ooh, this is getting real good. That's my
Right.
instrument. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that is cool. So flutes are like badass too. You turn the flutes
Mm-hmm.
on and you're like, oh, I didn't know I needed that
Right.
either.
Right.
Yes, yes. All right. So I want to thank you, Amanda, for joining me again. I really had fun talking to you. I really, really, really would love to talk to you again, especially when relaunch anything new. Always come back, talk to us about it, teach us some new things. Let's start talking about this lighthouse exercise on, on social media. People need to really know that for real. Yes. I'm so glad that you could join me. I'm so glad. Just let us know, do you have anything coming up for yourself?
Yeah. Well, you can always purchase my manifestation journals and planners. And the manifestation journals, what it is, as I explained before, like I give you a prompt every day and you follow it, and you are getting into vibrational harmony with whatever it is that you're affirming. So you're journaling out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even 5 minutes, and you are getting in vibrational harmony with what you want, because you are acting as if the whole time. So the whole journal, you are acting as if you already have what you want. So you can always buy those, and Mo will put the link below. And then I have my international plant medicine retreats that you can look up. The next one is going to be in Mexico. And we are actually going to we're going to do two things. One is just a retreat, like 4 to 7 day retreat. But the second thing that we're planning is a whole month-long getaway. So you're going to have meditations in the we're going to rent a big house. We're going to have meditations in the morning. You're going to be eating vegan food unless you want to bring your own food, whatever you want. But we're doing vegan and considering even doing like an alkaline diet. But for me, my lifestyle, I want my food. So, and we'll have like a lot of
At
What'd you
least I'm
say?
gonna need some oatmeal, a little put a little something on my ribs, a little
Right.
oatmeal at least.
Yeah.
Y'all don't need that
Exactly.
chicken, y'all. But the oatmeal, sometimes the oatmeal, so you gotta be
Exactly.
careful.
Like simple. Exactly. So we'll also have a DJ who's mostly like playing all day, like house music. So it's going to be a whole vibe. And it's made for people who either have businesses, or they have, a full-time job, or both, or they literally want to take a whole month off, because we're going to have strong Wi-Fi. I'm going to be in there working, all day. And then at night we play, we do whatever, go on excursions. And in Mexico, we are actively right now, we haven't found one, but looking for a place to do ayahuasca ceremonies. So one weekend, you have the option, it's up to you to do a ceremony with a shaman, and then, come on back home and we all talk about it and bond. And it's really an opportunity to kind of get away from the US. Like for Black Americans, we're stressed here. Our body is stressed. We feel it in every interaction we have with white people. There's tension at this point. It might be low level tension, but it's there. Once you leave and get out of that environment, you just take this time to heal. Take this month to heal. So that's that. And then the Speak It Into Existence challenge. That is where every week we meet, you get on the phone and you literally come to the call saying, hey, I just booked Oprah on my podcast. My boyfriend just proposed to me. I lost 10 dress sizes. You speak it to convince your subconscious mind. You're changing the vibration. You're changing your cells. You're changing everything. And you're naturally attracting what you want now. And when two or more are gathered, when more people are focused on this goal, and that's how they see you and that's how they interact with you, watch your life change. So those are the 3 things I have right now.
Love it.
Gross.
Love it. So thank you. And everyone, don't forget, aspire big, inspire bigger, make a change in your life so that others around you can see that change and be inspired to make a change in their life. You'll be saving lives, saving souls, and saving time. Because we want to be able to close the transformation gap from who you are to the person of noble character that you're looking to be. Alrighty. Everybody make sure you go follow Amanda Elise at Spiritually Dope on Instagram. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure y'all have a blessed day and night, or whatever time you're listening to this or watching this. All right? Later, y'all.